A lot of people have been asking about my OC lore, so today I'll show you the dark and twisted lies of the forest. The forest looms just outside the kingdom. It calls to those who have dark desires and houses those who are already given into those desires. The story takes place in a dying kingdom during the 17th century, surrounded by a dark forest. A place that's alive with whispers, roots, and old gods. The forest feeds on people's emotions like fear, guilt, grief, and lust, promising to give them what they desire most. When someone gives in, the forest takes their souls and turns them into a witch to serve its will and invite people to join. To fight back, the kingdom created witch hunters, humans who carry the divine flame of their mother, the god Oriens. The flame gives them power and keeps the forest corruption away, but it slowly burns their human bodies in return. Every witch hunter knows that one day the fire inside them will consume what's left of their humanity. Two gods shape this world: Oriens, the light of purity and control, and Ervan, the shadow of desire and chaos. Hunters serve Oriens, but they can feel the pull of the forest and the whispers of Ervans. Cage, a half-human witch hunter, and Hesper, a witch tied to the forest, are bound by a contract of loyalty. What starts as a fight against witches becomes a fight against the gods, beliefs, and prides themselves, and against what the divine flame is turning them into. Okay, so now that that's over, I will get into explaining a little bit more of the lore. So the forest is a newer world building thing that I added. It's meant to be something dark and mysterious, although I know how it works. My goal is for the viewers to come up with their own reasoning to why things happen, and why the forest is the way it is, whether that's for the good of the character or not. The forest is all connected to each other, kind of like a giant mushroom, and the more people's souls it takes, the stronger and wider it spreads. The forest can speak to those who cross its path, promising its deepest desires to its victims, and if the victims decide to give in, their soul will kind of become corrupted. Eventually they can lead into becoming a witch, or just like a kind of a ghoul of the forest. On the opposite side we have the divine flame, which seems to be the opposite substance of the forest and its rot. So the divine flame is kind of what keeps the rot at bay, since the only thing that can really burn or eradicate what the forest grows is the fire. The divine flame was originally birthed by the goddess Oriens. She was known to be fierce, strong, and emotionally tied. Her children, now the witch hunters, were able to wield the flame to their will, burning and purifying those who looked too close into its heat. So the divine fire is meant to give people hope and trust and bring back happy memories. So if you stare into it too long, you kind of just want to walk into it and then burn yourself. It's really enticing. It's kind of like a moth to a flame. But the forest is the opposite. It kind of plays on the more darker parts of yourself that you don't really tell anyone. To be able to wield the flames, the witch hunters have to be pure-blooded, or their bodies simply cannot handle the fire and the heat, and they will pass at a very young age. These witch hunters are well respected and honored in the kingdom, so they're really high ranked. Cage, on the other hand, is not a full witch hunter, and he is only half-blood, so eventually his body will burn up. Cage was able to live past the age of 12 due to his father making a contract with the forest itself to save him, and that is where the characters come in. Let me explain the characters first. So first we have Hesper. I think a lot of people know who he is. Hesper is flirty, sly, and a little unhinged. Hesper knows how to read people and twist situations into his favor. He's obsessive and manipulative, but hides it behind charm. He loves deeply, just not in the right way. Hesper is a witch. He has been a witch for about 80 years, so he's kind of old. For some other reasons that I won't get into, Hesper is always on the run from something. He likes to cause pain and trouble to those he believes deserves it, which is basically just everyone. He doesn't really care about people. When he meets Cage, he tricks him into forming a new contract, desiring Cage to help him pay off some of his old debts, but things kind of spiral as Hesper starts to fall in love with him, as he kind of sees his old love in Cage. It's the same mistake he made years ago with Freya. I will get into who Freya is later, the girl he once loved and destroyed. For Cage, a toxic bond disguised as protection, Hesper Hesper's feeling mixed love, control, and guilt. Like he's kind of just like a really toxic person. You kind of don't want to be around him, kind of like a narcissist. Feia is his past ex-best friend and first love. He remembers her with a lot of regret. He doesn't really like to think about her, and when he does, it feels like it touches more of his human side, because Hesper was half human. I will explain he's half human in a bit. That is Henry. Because, you know, witches have to be human and then they become witches. So then there's France. France is the king of the kingdom. I don't have a character sheet for him, but I will explain him later. Then there's Henry, his past self, the person he used to be. He avoids thinking about this version of himself at all cost. He doesn't associate with this person at all anymore because he's very ashamed of who he used to be. He views his old self as very weak and not what he views himself as now, because he's got an ego and stuff, so he sees himself differently. There's Cage. He's the witch hunter. Something about Cage is he has like burn marks and scars all over his hand, because the only way he's able to wield the sword that he has, the only way he's able to wield the fire is through the sword that he has. So that sword is kind of like a magical weapon, and it has to use his blood to be able to make the fire. Yeah, sorry, that's complicated. I'll get into that some other time. He's wearing the witch hunter like uniform. So his personality, Cage is like really blunt and quiet, often kind of hard to read. He doesn't really express himself like emotionally, but underneath all of that he is hiding a great anger, which comes with every witch hunter. The divine flame kind of makes people go crazy after a while. Like there's a lot of rage and fierceness behind it. So witch hunters are known to be kind of like short-tempered and easily offended. So you don't really want to talk to them or offend them in any way, because they will go like ballistic. But Cage's anger is kind of beneath the surface, because ever since he was a kid, he's kind of been taught to hide like this part of himself, because, you know, he's not a full witch hunter. He shouldn't show these kind of feelings and stuff. And plus, when he does, he burns himself because, you know, the fire, his body can't handle it. He doesn't always notice when he's being too trusting. Underneath all that control, he's kind and he's caring. He's just not sure how to show it. So he's very naive, kind of childish. So the story for Cage is a half-blood witch hunter living with the guilt of his father's death. His father made a contract to keep him alive, letting Cage wield the divine flame through his sword and survive past the age of what witch hunters would normally die of, which is 12. But his human body still burns, so he can't wield it like as comfortably as everybody else, but he's trying his best. Now Cage has made a new contract with a sly and unpredictable Hesper, hoping to uncover his purpose. He's caught between the church, the flame, Hesper's growing obsession, and trying to hold on to what's left of himself. For Cage's story, he's like the main character, so his story is about what it's like to kind of lose yourself to influences on the outside. You know, like you have a version of yourself in your head, and then that version starts falling apart, and you know, it's kind of hard to find yourself after that. Yeah, so that's kind of what his story goes about. Obviously, there's gonna be like a lot more going on in there, but like I hope that, you know, makes sense. Ainara, so this is the spirit within his sword. She's the voice of reason and the last piece of his father he has left. Their bonds feel like siblings, so no one else can hear Ainara. She's in his sword, only he can hear her. She's kind of like the voice of reason behind his actions. Like he can be like very blunt and kind of naive, but she's kind of the person that gives him a lot of advice and talks him through situations. Then there's Hesper. He distrusts him at first. Obviously he's a witch. He's been taught his whole life that he can't trust them. Obviously I don't know why he didn't listen to that. But then slowly he starts to let his guard down and they become good friends. Well, as good as friends as you can be with somebody like that. Then there's France. France is the king. He's childhood best friend and the reason why Cage was able to get into the Witch Academy in the first place. So we have Ainara. No one really knows what Ainara once looked like. Her body is like long gone, and what's left of her soul lives in Cage's sword. Sometimes she appears a faint or her voice slips through the flames to speak to him. He can see her, but only in like dreams or like instances where he dissociates, and then, you know, she kind of pops up and it's like, hey. Like in his mind, not like physically. So story. Inari used to be a human, but her soul was sealed inside Cage's swords many, many years ago, like over like 90 years ago. It's like been a very long time. That bond let him control the divine flame without losing himself completely. Most of her past is gone now, just fragments and feelings, but her care for Cage keeps her tied to the world. The two share a quiet promise to protect each other for as long as the flame allows it. She is drawn to learning about her past, but some things are better left undiscovered. So Ainara is kind of like a really sweet person, but there is like that rage behind her, that like anger. She doesn't know why she's angry, but she just knows she's got this like intense anger, and that's kind of what feeds into Cage. Like they kind of just feed off each other. It's hard to explain. For me, it makes sense. So then there's Cage, her closest friend, and the only one that she can talk to. So like, she's got no one else. She doesn't interact with anyone else. There is the flame that is inside her now. That power keeps her alive and slowly erases her. It's both a blessing and a curse she's learned to accept. So another character I'll go over quickly is France. He's the king, a leader shrouded in rumor and false information. He's kind of stuck living in the shadows of the rumors spread about him, forever trapped by them. Even though he just kind of wants to study plants, his responsibility to the kingdom keeps him around. So I don't really want to talk too much about France because like his story is still being developed, but the idea is he is the false narcissist. So a lot of people kind of think of him as a narcissist, but he isn't. It's like that false rumor that spreads. So he has been cursed by a ex-crush, I guess, like somebody that liked him. He rejected them, and they put a curse on him, and he is forever, his appearance is kind of cursed. Like if you know the story Narcus from like Greek mythology, the one that is cursed to stare at himself in the mirror forever, obsessing over his appearance. That is kind of what the story is based off. I can't tell you too much because it's going to spoil a lot of things, but that's kind of what his story goes about. Cage and him were friends as boys and trusted each other. They were both trained by Cage's adoptive father, who was a weapons master. Then there are my lesbian characters, or that's at least what people like to call them, Catherine and her witch werewolf girlfriend. These the only characters that are really happy, I guess. Their story takes place 100 years before this story, so they're like a really old couple contracted together. They're like the only happy one, I guess. I can't really get into them as well because their story keeps changing every time I write them. Then we have Henry. Before I get into Henry, let me explain where he sits in the story. This is Hesper before he became a witch. This is his human version. This is like 100 or 80 years before the story's events take place. So Henry is a shy, jumpy, and a little immature. He's the kind of person who means well but doesn't always understand people. He grew up as a noble son, so he's used to getting what he wants, but deep down he's gentle, just not great at showing it. He avoids conflict and shuts down easily when things don't go his way. Story-wise, Henry was a sickly kid who spent most of his time alone carving wood and making puppets. He has a fascination with toys. His whole world revolved around his best friend, who is Faya. Over time, their friendship turned into something unhealthy, an obsession he couldn't control. When Faya didn't return his feelings, Henry turned to a witch for help. He asked for her heart, and the witch unfortunately granted that too literally. Faya lost her heart, and Henry lost his soul to the forest, becoming Hesper, something twisted and unrecognizable. So his interactions, Faya, his closest friend, he loves her so much and ends up destroying them both. And then George is his older brother who always tries to protect them even when Henry doesn't listen. George is kind of like the voice of reason for Henry. Then we have Faya. I love Faya. She's so sweet. She's the love interest. You probably, if you know my characters, you've seen the two of them. I've drawn them a couple times interacting. She's the type to like pick flowers for no reason and just hum to herself while she walks around. She's like really bubbly, and like when she walks into the room, you could just kind of feel her presence there. She's gentle but a little bit emotional. Her strength lies under her softness because she's so gentle. Her heart is very pure. She's always wanting to help people, no matter what they've done to her or what happens. She forgives too easily. Faya lived long before the main events of the story. She was Henry's closest friend, bright, kind, and always dreaming about something bigger, but when friendships turned into something possessive, everything changed. No one really knows what happened to her after that, only that her heart was taken, and some say it still lingers in the forest, belonging to no one but herself. I wanted to write flawed characters that do good and bad things. I've based a lot of these characters off of experiences with people, with myself, with the strangers that I've had. So I hope the story has some parts you're able to maybe relate to, even if it's not like perfect. Yeah, so there's no good, bad. There are like obviously like things that happen in the story that you can be like, what? Wow, that's really shitty. But then there's gonna be some other things that happen in the story that you can be like, yeah, okay, maybe this person isn't. I just want you to feel the humanity in all of these characters. So that's what I'm really hoping to. But I also love fantasy, so I had to throw that in there. So a lot of people had questions. I will answer all the questions. Yeah. Do you ever get indecisive about your OCs? Like if you had a cool idea about your OCs but doesn't quite fit with what they are or what they would normally do, so you try coming up with all sorts of ways to get it to work with them. This is a great question, and yes, all the time. I think I'm constantly thinking about my characters, and there's a lot of times where I come up with something really cool, but when I think about it like logically, it just doesn't make sense and I have to scrap it. Maybe someday I will make a video, once I release the story and it's not gonna be like spoilers, I will like show all the notes of like things that I've had to scrap, from like big plot points to small plot points. Hey Blue, I have a few questions about Hesper and Cage. I love how people spell Hesper's name. Like he's Hesper, Hector, Jasper. It's like so fascinating. I love it. So how did Henry's parents and siblings react when they found out Henry became a witch and killed Faya? That is so interesting. I'm so glad you asked that. Henry's parents were very brokenhearted. Like they loved their sons. They spoiled them. They wanted them to like do great things. But Henry's always been a very troubled child, like very difficult to be around. So when this happened, Henry's parents are also very religious. Like most of the characters in this story are very religious. So for their son to like basically do heresy, which is like even talking to a witch is heresy in their books. So they were incredibly heartbroken, and Henry didn't give them a chance to talk to him. He kind of just assumed that it was over and ran away before they could like talk to him or anything. So they like lost a son that night. George was the only one that was trying to talk to Henry. Like he went after him, even years after like Henry went missing. He would like leave flowers out and food out and warm jackets on the porch where they lived, just in case Henry wanted to come back. Second, after Cage's father's death, what was Cage's relationship with his mother? Did his mother hate him and put him in an orphanage, or was she a loving mother who gave him advice? Cage's mom ran away since there's a lot of shame of having like a bastard son, and like it's really hard to kind of pick yourself up after that. So she left the kingdom after he was born. Plus like having a boy that is going to die eventually, it's like a bit too much for her. So she left, and that's how he ended up with the adoptive father. Third, was Cage bullied by other witch hunters because he's half witch? Moreover, Cage's father made a wish to a witch. Makes me think he was hated and bullied. Yes, Cage has a really hard time fitting in. Like a lot of his story goes about what it's like to be kind of an outsider. Not something you can see as an outsider, but like, you just feel like very out of place. People treat you like you're out of place. So he goes through a lot of struggles in the academy, like trying to like go up in ranks while not being able to like control the divine flame like everybody else. He's a little bit different than everybody else. He even looks a little bit different than everybody else. The kingdom isn't very happy that somebody that is not pure blood or completely with the order or the church, sorry, is in this position of power like this. One last thing, how did Cage react to Henry's past? You asked such good questions. Thank you so much. I'm so honored. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But yes, that's kind of like also a main theme of the story. So Cage kind of sees Hesper's like human side. He's a bit delusional and naive. He kind of believes he can bring back Hesper's like human side, maybe like have him be more in touch with his humanity, which is like that kind of thing, like, oh, I can fix them, you know, and that never works out. So the story, so yeah, he feels a lot of sympathy for Henry, but that doesn't work out for him at the end. Like, it never works out well for anyone that thinks they can fix somebody. If your story were to type a mainstream media, I don't know what the right term is, that's correct, like an animation show, game, book, comic, blah, 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 which one would represent your story best? This is very sweet. A lot of people are asking, like, what am I planning to do with the story? I have 3 plans for the story. So I'm gonna do 2 stories, which is like a Dollhouse. That will be about Henry and Faye, so the past. And then there will be Witch's Gambit, which is about Cage and Hesper and the present, like where the story takes place. I will probably make Dollhouse first because it's a lot simpler storyline and I feel like it would be easier to produce. And especially for practice, I think it would be great. But I really want a Dollhouse to be a playable RPG game, so you kind of go around, you do some like random things, but like it's more story based, so maybe graphic novel, if I can say it like that. Because I love music, I love voice acting, I love animation, and I would love my characters to have like that. And then for Witch's Gambit, that will have to be a comic because it's really complicated and I don't know how I'm going to even make that into an animation without losing my mind. So yeah, that's the plans for it for now. Your OCs are such an inspiration to me. How long have you been writing them for? What inspired you? Hi Al, it's really nice to see you here. Al always draws really nice art of my characters. Yes. So I first met Hesper in 2021. Like the start of 2021. At the time he was a vampire. Which is kind of funny because like a lot of people told me he looks like Astarion, because if I kept him as a vampire, he would have been just like a copy version of Astarion, which would be horrible. But Hesper's originally, so Hesper, like his original character comes from this song called Vampires Masquerade. I was listening to it on repeat and I kind of just got this inspiration. I was like, hey, I really like this like vibe. I really want to like make something for it. So from there grew Hesper. Cage, I just wanted something to contrast Hesper. That's where he comes from. He's called Cage because at the time I was watching like a Nicolas Cage movie and I was like, I like this character, but I need like a name that I can like place hold for the time. So I chose Cage because I was like, that's such an easy name to remember and it's so easy to spell. And I never changed it. So every time I think about him, I think of like Nicolas Cage, which is bizarre. Does Hesper wear deodorant? He's just so smelly. Hesper stinks, yes. Witches smell like dirt. They're basically like made of wood at that point. Like they're turning into the woods, moss, mushroom. So yeah. What has been the hardest part of writing your OCs? How did you overcome this? So the most complicated part of writing the characters was letting go of this perfectionism that I had. I really thought I wanted to make characters that I thought people would like and that isn't cringe, that people aren't gonna like make videos about one day, be like, ooh, like it's such a cringe character, why would this happen, blah blah blah. And like that really like held me back because I was like, oh, I can't do that, it's cliche, no. Until I was like, oh, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. And once I did that, you know, like it becomes so much easier because I just add what I like and I'm like, I don't care if people don't like it, you know, it's for me. It's my greed, you know. What is Hesper's main motivation? How far is he willing to achieve it? It's a really good one. And how does he see Cage? Okay, so I really want to talk about Hesper because he's always fun to talk about. Hesper's main motivation is one, to finish off his debt. He's in like big trouble all the time, you know, and he will step on anyone's toes to be able to get it. And when he sees Cage, he realizes, like, you know, this is the perfect opportunity for him to settle his debts. He is willing to do anything, like whatever. He does not form any emotional connections to anyone. He doesn't care about anyone. He just cares about himself. So right now he's in trouble. So he's going to do anything that he wants to be able to achieve, you know, this paying off debt. At first he sees Cage as like somebody that he can use, but very soon after he realizes Cage makes him feel the way Faya made him feel, because Cage is obviously just a nice person and, like, you know, he cares about people, and Hesper doesn't really have people that care about him, and when they do, he suspects that they're gonna leave, so he sabotages it, or he hurts them before they can hurt him. You know, it's that kind of mindset. So when Cage doesn't leave, when he's being freaky and weird and like hurtful, because Cage is dance again, he kind of like thinks like, oh, I have Cage now, and if I ever lose him, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So he becomes incredibly obsessive and like possessive over Cage, and he wants him to be his forever. Kind of like the old one, how he wanted Faye to be his forever, and that didn't work out, blah blah blah. Yeah. Has your OCs paid taxes? That's interesting. Cage pays taxes exactly on the time. Like, he's like early, he's prepared, he's ready. He just wants to fit in. Hesper, I don't think, has paid a single dime. Faya, she probably doesn't even know what taxes are. She just wants to like have a good time. Do you have a title for the story? Yes, it's called Witch's Gambit, because it goes about chess as well. Like the moves on a chessboard between Hesper and Cage, and it's edgy and cool. When Faye lost her heart, did it like let she just rip out of her chest, or did she just drop dead? She did not drop dead. The sequence in my brain is kind of like, I can't explain it. I must show somebody someday. But she didn't drop dead. It's basically she turned to like almost like a wooden doll, and like her heart was removed like that. So it's like just removed from her chest. Not very gory, just like a little doll that you do. I hope that makes sense. I don't know how I've been recording for 40 minutes. My voice is tired. Can we see George? Yes, George is my favorite. Does the story have a sad ending or happy ending? It's definitely not a happy ending. It's not bad or good. It's kind of like, oh well, you know. It's up to your interpretation if you think it was good or bad. Are there any medias that inspired your story? It's amazing. I would see. Thank you. Yes. Oh my god, there's so many. Like the amount of music that has like inspired my story and continue to inspire my story. Crazy. But I really like Elden Ring's lore building and world building. Like, I think it's like so fascinating that somebody was able to cultivate that in their brains. Divinity 2 is a huge inspiration. This book called Vampire Empire is huge inspiration. Let me think what else is like massive. A lot of people say the story reminds them of Black Butler. I used to love it when I was a kid, but I haven't thought about it, so I guess maybe that has had like some kind of imprint in my brain. What else? Oh gosh, everything. There's not a single thing that hasn't inspired it in some way. What was Cage's life before becoming a like witch hunter? Cage was very dedicated as a kid. Like, he just wanted to train, so his life has not been very different. He's always just been like kind of focused. How did you pick their names? Hesper comes from the word morning star, because he was based off the snake from Adam and Eve at first. So that's what his name is. Henry, I just played off the word Hesper. Faya, my partner chose that for her. Cage, again, Nicolas Cage. Ainara means something fire. It means, it's like a Latin word for like burning flames. Burning flame? Now Oriens means dawn, so it's the sun coming up, and Irvins means nighttime coming, so sun going down. France has two names. It's Franz Narcus, so it's the narcissistic guy from the Greek world, and then France is the chess game that he's based off of. Does any of your characters have official sexualities, or do you leave that to interpretation? I leave that to interpretation. Like, I love when people headcanon things. I think it's so much fun when people just put their favorite things onto the characters, you know? Are there more characters that will be introduced? Yes, there are a ton of characters that I haven't even been able to make art for, but they're well written already. Really curious about Anara. What was she like as a human? I can't say, but there are like glimpses of her human self like throughout the story. You know, like a lot of her personality or the things that she says is what she would say when she was like human. Her story is like, Ainara is like probably the second main character. She, like, a lot of the story revolves around her trying to figure out who she was and her past, and Cage he's like damned best to help her, you know, because like she can't walk around, like he has to kind of walk around for her. Yeah, so a lot of the story goes about that. Also, I'm fine with fan art. I love fan art. Fan art is my favorite thing ever. I like eat it up. A lot of people ask if they can draw my characters. Hell yeah. A lot of people ask if they can include their OCs in my story. Hell yeah. Add as many self-inserts as you want. I love that. It's so much fun. A lot of people ask if they can take inspiration from my story. Yes. Oh my god, I take inspiration from like 7 different things. Go right ahead. It's all yours. You can headcanon, you can like write, you can come up with whatever. You can like, I don't know, like make your own story in the universe if you want. Like, I don't care. Do whatever you want. Just as long as you're making something cool and you're having fun. Yeah. So that is it. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of questions because I'm sure that this did not make sense. For me, it makes sense. But when I tell my story to other people, it doesn't make sense. We will see. This is a long video. If you watched this far, I'm very impressed and I'm forever thankful for you. I'm not editing this shit. I am going to pop a speed paint in the background and I'm just gonna let that play. And you're gonna have to watch that. So yeah. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I love you. You're great. What are you doing here? How did you make it through this entire video? Honestly, like, hats off to you. Like, I have so much respect. I'm just really honored that my autistic brain's rambling has like captivated you to listen for like, what, 40 minutes? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's like the end of the world. Okay. That's all. Thank you. Bye.